morning. Good morning. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Welcome. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Hello.
学校是一所国际化的大学，以国际化人才培养为主的大学。我们现在在学的学生，国际学生。
Is a subordinate university of the Moscow.
Mr. President, dear friends, dear students, good morning, everybody. Thank you. It is a great privilege and great honor for me to be here with you. And I have to say that this is my first visit to China. And I'm extremely expressed, and I'm extremely amazed by your country, by this beautiful city. And I have to say that I want to come back. Thank you. Today, as Vice President mentioned, we want to talk about our country, Georgia. We want to talk about the Silk Road partnership. I want to talk about Chinese-Georgian cooperation and future perspectives. Let me briefly remind you all that centuries ago, the long journey from China to Europe and vice versa started and ended in Georgia. And Georgia was the last stop before the Persian Empire, which in Europe was the last explored territory. Thereon lied the mystery of China, known for its precious silk and porcelain as well as other goods of exquisite refinement, unknown to Europe. But China itself remained a mystery. In those days, merchants and priests were the men and women of knowledge. And the journey started from Georgia. So today my talk is about trade, but it is also about discovery of one another. The learned men and women of today are in large part university students and academics. So you are the people whose curiosity shines and who in many ways carry the spirit of those merchants who changed the world so long ago. And thus, it is my pleasure to be here today in one of China's most prestigious universities. I thank you for your invitation. Only this year, dear friends, we restored a fast train connection from China to Georgia, making land once again the fastest route to Europe. And this is the first time this happens since the Portuguese arrived with their caravelas on the Chinese coast 6 centuries ago, in 1513. And today the Silk Road is being revitalized. Our countries are getting closer. One hopes that not only trade but also people, ideas, knowledge, and culture will continue to enrich our relationship. Georgia is a small country, as you know, but has always drawn attention for its strategic location between Europe and Asia, the Caspian and the Black Sea, the Middle East and Central Asia. And that is why a lot of things happened in Georgia for the first time. We were the first Christian kingdom in Europe, the first to make wine, so a great place for students. And Georgia is now emerging as a logistics hub, which we hope will connect China to Europe like never before. Besides being proud of where we are, we have pride for what we are. Georgia has gone through a remarkable transformation in the past 20 years and is a model country for institutional, social, normative and political transformation in our region. And this is important because trade relations are never exclusively economic relations. Trade is about trust. And Georgia is a reliable investment destination thanks to a free, open, transparent, and predictable business environment. Investors can rely on our commitment to lower taxes and increase contract enforcement. Georgia is 15th in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business country rankings. And investors can trust in our commitment to cut through red tape. The latest Heritage Foundation survey ranks Georgia the 22nd freest economy in the world, citing factors such as low corruption, savings in red financial regulation, monetary freedom, and etc. They can be sure of our macroeconomic stability. They can count on a consistently positive story. We have stable growth in a region that is right now experiencing economic deceleration. And as we know, trade is about access and open horizons. Georgia recently signed a new free trade agreement with the European Union, which facilitates tariff-free exports from Georgia to Europe. And as a geopolitical hub nestled between the two continents, Georgia is committed to developing its global partnership. China is Georgia's future. And trade is about ambition. There is no country in our region more open to Chinese businesses and investment than Georgia. To the Chinese people and culture, to Chinese innovation and ideas. And we cherish the fact that the People's Republic of China was one of the first to recognize the independence of Georgia, and was one of the first that opened an embassy in Tbilisi in 1992, after we regained the independence from after the collapse of Soviet Union. So let me use this opportunity, dear friends, to underscore with the special gratitude and appreciation China's firm stance on the issue of territorial integrity and sovereignty of my country within its internationally recognized borders. And on the fertile ground of mutual respect, our cooperation has flourished. When my government came to power in 2012, we set out a clear ambition for ourselves to build strong global partnerships in terms of trade, investment, and people-to-people exchange. And China was the obvious point of departure. So now let's look back 3 years. And we have a lot to be proud of. In 2014, year-on-year, trade turnover between Georgia and China increased by 28%. In 2014, China was Georgia's fourth trading partner. But this year, in 2015, China is our third trading partner. Since 2014, China is second to none in foreign direct investment. And Chinese FDI grew by 143% last year. In 2014, Georgian export to China increased by 167%. And in 2015 by 55%. And wine, Georgian wine, is being one of our key exports. And we continue to be ambitious. In March 2015, our government decided to commission a feasibility study on a possible free trade agreement between Georgia and China. And for this study, we commissioned the Georgian Consulting Group and Chinese team of esteemed members of the university And based on a partial equilibrium analysis, the preliminary assessment of this study is that trade liberalization in goods could boost Georgian exports to China and Chinese exports to Georgia. So we are also ambitious on the development of our services, particularly tourism, which is a strategic sector for Georgia. As we say, trade is an excuse to marvel at the world. And this basic human instinct is key to another sector that is strategic to Georgia, namely tourism. China and Georgia have a rich and fascinating history, dating back several millennia. For demanding Chinese tourists, we offer a marvel of sights, taste and culture at a very competitive price. At the crossroads of Europe and Asia, mountain and sea, we offer top-of-the-range ski and sea resorts, a rich choice of archaeological destinations, unparalleled natural beauty, and a taste of the first wine produced in the world. So in fact, many Chinese are already discovering that side of Georgia, with our wine exports surging by 41% in 2014 and 31% already in 2015. And we are getting closer, dear friends. Georgia has gained an approved destination status. And China's Southern Airline has 3 direct flights a week from Urumqi to Tbilisi. You are all, of course, more than welcome. And we hope that tourism will also revive cultural and educational links between our countries. A few years ago, I just mentioned to the President, we inaugurated the first Confucius Institute in Tbilisi, which showcases Chinese culture and provides opportunities for Georgian students to master Mandarin. The Chinese government has been facilitating study courses for Georgian specialists in China, which has contributed largely to expanding people-to-people contacts, intercultural dialogue, and mutual understanding. And I think we have one Georgian student here. I don't see him more, sir. That's him. Sitting on 2 opposite ends of this Silk Road, we have always sustained our proximity, despite our distance. Let's take an example. The travels in western Georgia of Lao Tsunchou in the 19th century. While in Georgia, Mr. Tsunchou developed a special tea brand, Lao tea. By the 1920s, tea growing was recognized as a new and significant area of economic activity, and specialized research institutions were founded at that time. And during the Soviet Union, Georgia was a tea supplier for the entire Union. But the huge and uncompetitive market, of course, badly affected its quality. So today, my government intends to work with our counterparts in China to revive this tradition. And of course, we intend to contribute to an emerging wine culture in China. Having concluded a memorandum of cooperation between Georgia's National Scientific Research Center and the Ninsia Forestry Institute, we are going to grant unique vine varieties adapted for the climatic and soil conditions of the Ninsia region. Of course, vines are not colonies, as we say. They tend to adapt to the air, smell, and soil of each region, building a unique character. So this promises to become a little part of Georgia built into the Chinese culture. And that is how a truly deep relationship can flourish. We can also trace back literary connections. I think it is worth to recall here at a 12th century Georgian masterpiece, Night in the Panther's Skin by Shota Rustaveli, that has been published in Chinese in 15 editions since 1944. And it includes the following verse. Who seeks not a friend is his own foe. Indeed, China and Georgia, dear friends, with their 5,000 and 3,000 year long histories of statehood, respectively, frame wisdom as the ability to discover friends. Today I have come as a friend, and I look forward to our future cooperation. Especially granted the fact that thanks to President Xi Jinping's Silk Road initiative, we are presented with far greater opportunities of partnership. We need to develop the Silk Road partnership. Georgia has been as top on the Great Silk Road route connecting the Orient and the Occident since the Han Dynasty. And this has affected us profoundly since the hybridity lies at the heart of our culture. Today, Georgia capitalizes on its strategic positioning to become part of the One Belt, One Road initiative and its vision as expressed in the action plan published by the Chinese government in March 2015. The Belt and Road Initiative aims to promote the connectivity of Asian, European, and African continents and their adjacent seas, establish and strengthen partnerships among the countries along the Belt and Road, set up all-dimensional, multi-tiered, and composite connectivity networks, and realize diversified, independent, balanced, and sustainable development in these countries. So this initiative, my friends, resonates with the message of cooperation, harmony, and inclusiveness, based on clear and transparent norms. And this is a vision we would like to share. The Chinese government has always endowed the One Belt, One Road initiative with practical instruments for the realization of the state goals. These include the Silk Road Fund and the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. I want to tell you that Georgia was the 45th country to join the AIIB, and we believe that the bank will add massive value to developing economies and play an important role in cooperation with other IFIs. And I believe that my country can become part of this trade route and chain value with cultural as well as economic significance. Interlocking together 2/3 of the world's population and 60% of its GDP, the Silk Road will become an energy highway, a cultural crossroad placing us all on a peaceful path. Because trade is also about peace. And back in 2014, at the opening session of the 69th UN General Assembly, I promised to establish a Silk Road Forum as an annual high-level meeting of all states and international organizations with a stake in the future of the Silk Road. And in keeping with that promise, this October, 15th and 16th, I shall be hosting the Tbilisi Silk Road Forum with cordial support and participation from our Chinese counterparts. In doing so, we will be reinstating a connection that has made Georgia what it is and promises to make Georgia what it should be. A bridge from Asia to Europe, from Europe to Asia. And this is our future. We have an ambition to become a regional logistics hub, as I mentioned to you. In January 2015, a freight train departed from China and it reached Georgia 9 days later on February 6th. Since our relationship is not the same, to make the same journey by ship, we would have needed 45 or 60 days. Can you imagine the difference? And we are again where the Portuguese left us in 1513. So we have revived the rationale of the Silk Road. The new Azerbaijan, Georgia, Turkey railroad, it's called Baku-Tbilisi-Kars connection, has brought us close, and 2 large tunnels under construction will bring us closer. And when fully operational, the cargo and passenger handling capacity of the Baku-Tbilisi-Kars tranche of the Silk Road Railway will be 5 million tons and 1 million passengers in the first year. And this will thereafter triple in capacity. So in sum, we have a realistic and scalable vision of a logistics hub vision with potentially remarkable results. Highways will follow, and Georgia already has 4 international airports and is developing a deep-sea port in Anaklia. This is a project that I wanted to talk to you about. This port will host Panamax-type vessels, committed to developing the required software for this vision to materialize tariff customs and regulatory harmonization. So we China, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, and Georgia can make history. And once again, in this historical project, Georgia is important not only for where it is, but also for what we are. Today, Georgia enjoys free trade with the CIS countries, Turkey, and the European Union. And yesterday, I had a great meeting with the Premier of China, and we spoke about free trade between China and Georgia. And this is a narrative that interests Europe as much as China. Year on year, in 2014, foreign direct investment to Georgia increased by 89%. That was the highest surge in 6 years. And 64% came from Europe. And as I mentioned, the FDI from China grew by 143%. So, dear friends, for conclusion, for Georgia, the new Silk Road vision is of historical significance. It is important that all stakeholders to this vision assume the ownership of this initiative. And Georgia is doing exactly this. The Silk Road is ours as much as it is yours, and our relationship will never be the same again. In coming together economically, institutionally, normatively, and culturally, we also hope to build a common space of security and peace. This is the end vision for my country, and this is our common vision. It is about economic prosperity, but it is also about sincere curiosity, cultural exchange, and trust, which is essential. So, and it is a vision that will only materialize if we share it. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.